Welcome back to another edition of the MMA Huddle. Literally just coming off the back end of UFC Hamburg that took place and literally finished probably like an hour ago. Coming off a kind of fun-filled, packed MMA weekend with Invicta, with Cage Warriors. Before we get started talking about them and just having a look back in those cards, just a big thank you to all the new subscribers. We're really getting some new subscribers coming through, which is awesome. Checking out all the interviews that John's doing, as well as our stuff that we do every week. So thank you for all the subscribers, the new subscribers that we've got, and just keep it going. Let's see, I think we're going to set ourselves a target of like 300 for the end of the year, which is about 70 away, so it's not that far. And I think with your help we could definitely get there. Before I get into the fight breakdowns, Instagram, Facebook, iTunes, we're all over there as well, so go and check those bits out. And just a big shout out to a good friend Greg and his missus, who had a little baby girl through the week, Matilda, so I know you'll be listening in. Greg, congratulations, buddy. I know what that's like. We both know what that's like, that feeling. And congratulations to you both, and hope she's nice and healthy for you. So we're going to go back. We might as well start at Cage Warriors last night. It's literally on my TV again. I watched it last night when I came home from work, but they're showing the replay here just with Ed Arthur and so on. Might as well start with the main event. Yeah, what did you think of the main event? I love the fact that Cage Warriors are like churning out some really good fighters from Italy. They've got a nice core of fighters that's now moved on to UFC, but now in there. What did you think of that? I thought it was a great performance.
I thought it was a very calm performance. I thought on the feet it would have been Paterno's fight, and I thought on the ground it would have been Gadzhimuradi's, but it didn't turn out that way. I think Gadzhimurad might have taken it a bit easy on the feet, on the ground. Sorry, overconfident maybe because he's with Danaher Death Squad, and maybe thought it was just going to happen for him. But I think obviously he'll learn, he'll come back from it. And Mike, you've gone. Are you still there, mate? You've gone.
I'm back again. A great connection tonight, I think, guys. But yeah, Paterno, I love the Italian fighters. I think they're pretty cerebral fighters. I think Pearson is a great fighter in the UFC. He's going to be a guy that wins fight. Chirico's just won fights. So the country as a whole at the minute is on the up. Also in that card, we had... How do you pronounce the guy that Ed Arthur was against? Because...
Ekindeo.
Yeah, that's the one, Ekindeo. I think he's going to be a really big prospect. And he
is, but you're not going to get to the UFC by fighting like that. And what I mean is, you can't lay and pray. You need to finish fights. And the best example I can give people at home, and it's not a critique like having a go at him, is Andre Harrison. Andre Harrison is probably by a mile, a country mile, the best 145er out there who's not in the UFC. But the problem is, he doesn't finish fights. And the UFC have spoken with certain matchmaker in the UFC about Andre Harrison in particular, and his critique was he doesn't finish enough fights. He's not a finisher. If you can't finish fights outside the UFC, you won't finish him in it, and you're probably a high likelihood is you're going to go straight in and straight out. And Brett Johns, I spoke with the person then, I said if Brett Johns can start making the weight, we'll sign him up. He made the weight outside the UFC event, and then it got him snapped back up. Telling you, there's things like that. When I got insights into why they don't sign certain fighters, that is one of them. Even if he was to fight Jack Shaw, mate, for that belt, and he does just wrestling, he ain't going to get signed up to the UFC. Look at the difference between what Nathaniel Wood does and what he's like. Who are you going to sign?
I'm the kind of guy, though, I'm a betting guy, a big betting guy. He's the kind of guy I like to bet on. He can do that and he can stifle. So against a higher caliber of opposition, he can move in there and the betting odds could be a little bit more favourable and he could be very bettable. But I think he's a really good fighter. Nice win over Ed Arthur. Ed Arthur's kind of in a little bit of limbo, his kind of career at the minute. But he's in the right place with Cage Warriors. They've signed him up for a little bit. Ian Dean will know what to do with him and put him in the fights he should. Ross Houston, I think, is going from strength to strength. I think he's...
Bro, sorry to interrupt, mate. Do you want to switch your camera off and back on again? It's froze again.
Oh, there we go.
It's all good. There you go. Ross, yes, go ahead with Ross.
Ross, got a finish. I think that was much needed. I think we can see over 15 minutes he can win fights very decisively, and he went in there and he beat Nathan Jones at probably his strength at being on the ground as well. So I know he's got a bit of a patchy record, but having a win over that guy is a pretty decent thing to have on your record as well. So is he going to be next for Paterno next, or?
I think he should be, because he's on a 5-fight win streak in Cage Warriors, and I'm not being funny. It's not fair to bring someone else in and make him have to fight again for a title fight. He's in the promotion. He's earned that right to get a stab at it. I don't see anything wrong with giving him that title fight. I think it's the right fight to make. They're both young fighters, and I think it'll be a cracking fight.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's really nice to actually see some Scottish guys coming through, and with Paul McBain, I thought he looked great against Steve Amable down in the prelims. I thought he looked really good. So having a couple of guys coming through, especially from the north of Scotland, because everything's usually Fife or the Lothians are through in Glasgow here. So to have a couple of guys from up north, I think is really good. And if they keep on doing that, maybe they'll get an event up here in the Scotland. I've kind of doubted Ian said he needs more talent to come through, to me personally. So, but it's nice to see a couple of Scottish guys on the up as well.
Well, they're going to Birmingham, and there's talks about them potentially signing Fabian Edwards. He's got one more fight left on Bama, but Fabian knows the probably a better smart idea is to go to Cage Warriors, because I'm not being funny. I think Fabian beats Lee Chadwick any day of the week.
Yeah, I don't
think Lee Chadwick is overly.
Lee Chadwick's going to lose in Liverpool in September.
Yeah,
I think Jonas Bilstein will be. I know we're looking ahead to that card, but it's like I think both the Liverpool guys lose. I think Pimblett's got a tough fight against Soren Bak as well. So, and like let's say, Cage Warriors always put on a good show. Brad Wheeler got another win. And it's just, if you get the opportunity to watch Cage Warriors, you need to sit there and watch it, because it's just good stuff. And nice to see they're back on the feet after they went away for a little while, and they came back and they're better than ever now. And they're
crushing it. They're crushing it, mate. Bama is
with great talent. So, and it's not even, there's more to come from them as well. So, might as well talk about UFC Hamburg. Took place today. It was a bit of a slog. It was a lot of decisions. There were 9 decisions.
Nine.
I thought it started off pretty well, and there was a couple of good scraps, and there was good. I loved the Danny Roberts fight. Danny Roberts is never in a boring fight. I thought it was very close. I thought it was really, really close. Who else was I really impressed with? Nasrat Haqparast shut up Mark Diakiese. Diakiese, from the minute he was running around the octagon just smiling, I thought, you're being a bit of a smug prick here, so I hope you lose. Ultimately he went and did that. Damir Hadzovic, I'm really happy for him. Somebody that I thought would win. Heinz, a hard guy to face, especially in Germany. I don't really want to talk about Shogun too much, because I think the writing's kind of on the wall for that guy. But I thought there was a lot of impressive performance. I think Manny Bermudez, that ground control is something special.
That submission reminded me of the Alcantara submission over Brad Pickett, where he had to kind of transition a couple of times to get the submission in. It was beautiful. Just rolled with it, kept with it. Honestly, that submission from Manny is something I'll watch back to learn, to go to the gym and do on the lads. Something similar anyway. Honestly, it was great. Honestly, great submission. That.
Yeah, I bet on him. But around that time, I don't know what it was. I felt really uncomfortable. I thought Davy Grant is going to... there was the whole Carl Tanswell thing. I think this was like 1 year ago that he died, and I thought, sometimes I look into those things when I really shouldn't, because they're not going to matter in the state of a fight. But him, I think Darko Stosic did nothing until Jeremy Kimball ran at him, and as soon as his back hit the mat, he absolutely just wellied him with some big punches and elbows.
Yeah, I thought it was a little bit of an early stoppage. I thought they weren't clean. Like, to be fair, he had his guard up, and I thought they weren't landing flush. So I was a bit now, don't get me wrong, I totally had him down and smashed him in the first. But I thought you could have actually waited to see what happened there, because Kimball might have easily pushed him away. We don't know, but yeah, like you said, bro, he did retire afterwards, which good. You know, I'm not being funny, mate.
Yeah.
He got one comfortable win in the UFC. Like, I would bite anyone's arm off to get a fight in the UFC and get the suitable matchups he got, but he was not ever going to make anything of himself. He just wasn't the level needed. He was just, yeah.
Yeah, I heard he was at the MMA lab and they kicked him out. So I don't think he was doing all he was supposed to. I think that he was missing days and missing sessions, and John Crouch doesn't take any shit like that and just pretty much put him out. So, which I thought was, when I heard that, I was like, I'm pretty confident that I'm going to cash that bet. I had him with Manny, and I had who else did I? I had four bets. I had three that won. The only one that lost was Shogun, but by that then I was already well up in the night. I had Azitar and Taibura as a parlay. I had Manny and Stosic in a parlay, and I had Alexander Rakic. Alexander Rakic looked, I thought, phenomenal. And another guy that the UFC daily needs to be really good in that 205 division.
And Mech's fight IQ is abysmal.
Yeah. I couldn't, but like for Fabinski, I'll give him some credit. I don't think many guys will be stepping up to face him. He's nothing but.
It's like he's an American. He's a European Usman.
Yeah,
it's just
you cannot. And but the fight IQ of Mech was going for a Kimura.
Shocking. Oh.
And, just instantly being taken. I don't even want to talk about that. Fabinski, I thought, even though the crowd were booing,
I cashed on that. I put Fabinski down as decision win.
I picked him last week, and I was like, I should have put money on him as soon as I seen the first round. As soon as Mech ran at him straight up, I was like, oh shit, I should have put money on that. So,
mate, the odds were fantastic as well for decision win. I got a good one on that.
Yeah, no surprise there. But it's like undefeated. Nobody knows about him. I don't think people want to really fight him because they know what he's like. But it'll be interesting to see who the UFC kind of match him up with, and when we see him again, because he disappeared for 2.5 years. He might do the same. Who knows? So yeah, that was a kind of quick look over UFC Hamburg. To me, it seemed really flat. I thought that the crowd sounded. There was no. It didn't seem like it was just a way. I don't think it was overly well attended. I think that I just think
there were tickets for sale.
Tickets still for sale, mate, tickets there to be got, but it seemed flat to me. And I've been to a Germany card before, and I wasn't really impressed when I went over to. Geez, that was years ago. I don't even know. I think it was 123, and that was just a very flat show. But the UFC, I still think they're pretty big over in Germany. But it'd be interesting to see if they go back there. I don't think we've got another European card until
Russia.
Oh well, Russia. Yeah, I keep forgetting about Russia. So after that, they might be back up in Britain somewhere. I just hope they don't go to London again.
I know they will. I hate it, but they're gonna bloody do it again. And I can't stand it. I'll happily skip it.
Yeah, the one thing they usually announce it though after the event that they're coming back the year after. They haven't did that this year, so
they might do it. They might announce it after Russia.
Yeah, so
maybe.
Who knows? I think that they need to go back to Ireland at some point next year. I hope that. I love Ireland. So
again, mate, just to note, they only had one guest fighter at Hamburg.
And they had no weigh-ins for fans. They had nothing.
No ceremonial weigh-ins. They are cutting so much, it's obscene.
Yeah.
For Europe, it's just getting disgusting now.
Yeah, so it takes. That's what I'm saying. If I'm thinking of going to an event, is it worth really going down 2 or 3 days beforehand or whatever? Is it just best turning up maybe late Friday and staying for the event and away in the Sunday? It's weird. They're just not offering anything, and then there's this whole talk. Might as well talk about that quite quickly about the UFC leaving BT Sport at the end of the year and going to Olympics. I'm actually there's mixed. I've seen a lot of mixed reviews. I'm a guy that's over the moon that they're leaving BT Sport because I pay £32 a month for BT Sport, the package, and it's going up. They're having another price hike in September, which is the second price hike this year. So it's been up £6 this year. It's gone up to 35 quid. So if that comes up, 30 quid straight off the bat. This 11 Sports, I'm probably guessing you're going to have to pay something for it, but I don't think it's going to be as expensive as what that is. Well, but this whole talk about pay-per-views potentially being, you might have to purchase them. If that's the case, I won't be doing that. No, unless it's a Conor McGregor one, because
there's a lot of people are just saying they'll stream it, and that's that's how the UFC originally kind of flourished, was illegal streaming. And you know what? You can't stop it. Premier League, football, the top sports get it everywhere. So if the UFC can't stop it, people will just stream it. Look, I'll tell you right now, I'm going to stream it. If Do you think I'm going to pay a 3 a.m. pay-per-view card? You are out of your mind.
Yeah.
Out of your mind. No chance. Not happening. I have to, every week I have to suffer 3 a.m. cards. No chance. No. You want me to pay for it? Jog on.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see if they do. I don't think I've always been one to think that they can't do it, but the way the UFC are cutting costs and maybe looking to
Trying to make some money back, yeah.
would not fucking surprise me what they're doing at the minute. So we'll see. I think even if they were to try it, I think it would just bomb big time. I don't think they'd get the numbers they think they would. So
I think it would crash.
Yeah.
They would do such a small number, it would absolutely crush them.
See, I'm the one. I'm Des. I'm a big Sky Sports guy, and I think that when I look at, like, today I was watching the golf. I'm a golf fan as well, and they've got like a dedicated channel for.
Poor Will.
Yeah, I was literally watching it all day until the fights, and I was watching the two of them at the same time. But they've got a dedicated channel, the Sky Open. Put a UFC channel on it. I'll happily pay. If you put it on for £10 a month, I'll add an extra £10 onto my Sky bill just to get a UFC channel with good UFC programs like Dan Hardy and John Gooden. They don't get paid for doing that. Put it on Sky. I'll pay money towards that. I'll happily do that. And to get the pay-per-views and all the cards and so on. So I'm looking forward to getting rid of BT Sport because they're a bunch of robbing bastards, pretty much. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And I'm not going to say who was the first one to report that because we don't talk about him around these parts.
Also, the guy who owns 11 Sports, he is the guy who owns Leeds United Football Club. Yeah. And he is absolutely minted, like mega bucks. He bought the TV rights for La Liga, the Italian league, and German. I think it's German league as well. Like, the dude is investing heavy, so he might have the money where it's not pay-per-view. We don't know yet, but we'll see. Yeah.
So that's a little chit chat, kind of what happened over the weekend there. There was Invicta as well, which I've not really watched all of yet, so I'm not going to really mention that. But we have a new champion at 105 there. We're going to move on to next week's card, which comes from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, for UFC on Fox, and it's an absolute banger of a card. It's a really good card when you look at it from a couple of good fights in the prelims. There's a couple of good scraps on the televised prelims, and then I think the main card is a really solid main card, and it's nice to see the UFC going back to Calgary because they gave them a bum card there years ago. I think they had a lot of injuries taking place. And Dana said, "Oh, we'll give you an event," and I think it's like 4 or 5 years later they finally get back.
Exactly.
But if this fight card stays intact, it's a really solid card, and it's going to start early. I think the first fight starts at like 8:30 Saturday night.
Yeah, because it's on the east side.
So it's always early. And it's starting off in the lightweight division with a fight I've not even watched any tape on, and I'm not going to watch any either. But I kind of know where I'm going. It's Devin Powell against Alvaro Herrera. Do you want me to lead off, or do you want to lead off with this?
I can go first, bro. I don't mind taking this one. Devin Powell is a guy who is not someone I'm too keen on. Full stop in the UFC. He's too passive. He's far too passive. He waits far too long for something to happen. Like, I understand if you're a counter striker, so you want to be patient. You're waiting for someone to come in to be to counter, but to interact with them. But the problem is, he will just absorb the shots. Obviously, with his hands up, he'll try to block them, but he doesn't throw anything back enough. Even on his back as well, he's far too passive. Just doesn't. For me, he's not active enough. He's not wanting to get that fight done and dusted. He's fighting over, like you say, Herrera. Herrera, who was up at welterweight in a tough, and then he's come down. He's at lightweight. It suits him better. He wasn't a big welterweight anyway. To be fair, he was probably just a lazy lightweight. In fact, if I'm honest, I think Herrera would be one of those 165 guys. If we had that weight class, I think he'd be well more suited for that. But Herrera does pack a bit of a punch, and he showed against. I know we lost to Albert Luque, but he showed it in the Albert Luque fight. He does have a bit of a pop on him, and I think this is the problem. I think Devin's going to go up against Herrera, and Herrera's going to really put a bit of a show on him, land some good shots. Don't get me wrong, Powell can take a hit, so I think Powell might do all right for the first few rounds. But I'm going to go for probably third round finish Herrera. I think it'll just be a gradual toll of strikes that might just take Powell away. But I'll go for third round stoppage Herrera.
Like I say, I'm I'm just kind of going off memory of these two here. I know that Herrera lost to Jordan Rinaldi last time out, and I didn't think
choke,
it was that great. So the thing with Devin Powell is that did he not have something with his balls or something?
He fought what's his name? It's like Bang Shang. No, San Bang San. Oh, what the heck? What's his name? San something. And it was like the guy just lit him up like Christmas tree in that fight as well.
Yeah.
But I don't know much else about like outside of Powell. But from tape I've watched, he just
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know if he'll come out a bit different this time. But mate, I don't have much for him.
I know that there's a story out there. I'm going to have to go and find it. The guy's got a story with his nuts. Something happened and he got.
He's got 3 of them.
No, something happened where I can't remember what it was, but it was really bad. And when I was reading it, I was squirming reading it. So if I'm Alvaro Herrera, I'd just come out and just go for the nuts. I'd just go and try and kick him.
He breaks his balls during training.
Oh, so he busted a nut.
Whoa, Joe Lozon bursts Devin Powell's balls, literally.
That's what it is. Yeah. So that's what it is. So if I'm Alvaro Herrera, I'm coming out and I'm just gonna kick him in the balls and try and see if I can get him down that way. But kind of getting all the joking aside, I'm gonna go with Devin Powell just for the fact that I don't think he's good. I really don't think I don't understand really why he's in the UFC. This is the type of fight that I think he should be in the UFC, fighting guys like this. He has lost 2 decisions, so he's durable. He maybe takes a bit of a beating and taking a bit of pounding on, but he sticks around. And I think against a guy like Herrera, I think that he can do that, and I don't expect it to be a top class brawl. I think it'll be very scrappy. I think either it's a kind of flip a coin fight. It's who you think. I'm just going to go with a more durable guy who I think it's been in there with decent fighters. So I'm going to go Devin Powell via decision, but like no confidence in the pick at all. Moving on to the women's strawweight division, we have Randa Marcos. I think it's a good fight. Randa Marcos against Ansarov. I've been a fan of Randa Marcos since the Tough Show. I think she's tough. I don't think she's any more than a 500 fighter, if I'm being honest with you. I think she wins one, she loses one. I don't ever see. I know she jumps around different gyms. She doesn't commit to one gym, and I think that's. I'm not the biggest fan of that. You look at her UFC record.
She's not won 2 in a row in the UFC.
No, has she ever won 2 in a row?
Yeah, prior to the UFC.
Yeah, so she's Justine Kish, then she lost. Jessica Penney, she lost. She beat Aisling Daly. She lost to Carolina. She beat Lieberger. She lost to Casey. Beat Esparza, which I don't think she beat Esparza in that fight personally. Lost to Grasso. She might actually beat Grasso in that fight, and then she beat Juliana Lima last time out where she got takedowns, and that's something I think she can use here is takedowns. I think that in previous fights Ansarov has shown she's a little bit susceptible to getting taken down. What I liked from Nina Ansarov was the fact that she outstruck I thought the better striker in Angela Hill last time. She showed that her game's progressing a little bit, and obviously with her missus being a UFC champion, and maybe her getting kind of beat up a little bit more, she's improved. She's become more durable herself, and I think in this one here, I mean, I think she's got every chance of outstriking Marcos. And I think she's got every chance of getting the potentially maybe getting a surprise takedown as well, which might score her some points. But like I say, it's quite tough against someone like Marcos, who probably a best thing about her game is she's tough, but I think she does have a bit of a grappling game, but doesn't kind of use it as well. I'm more inclined to pick Nina Ansarov in this spot here. I think it's going to be. It's got split decision written all over it. It's in Canada, which always helps the hometown fighter Marcos. But that's why I was earlier on when Damir Hadzovic. For me, I scored that 30-27 for Hadzovic, but when they went to split decision, I thought, and I think I said that on here. I was like, you need to go in to fight, and especially in other people's country or cities or whatever, and you have to have a definitive performance to win. And when I heard that Heine got a scorecard, I'm like, oh no, don't rob Hadzovic, because I thought Hadzovic performed really well tonight in that fight tonight. But I think you have to be kind of decisive in these type of fights, and sometimes the Canadian judges have been, or the officials have been a little bit iffy in the past. I'm going to go Nina Hansel. I feel more confident picking her, being honest. So I'll pick her via probably a split decision.
I'm with you on Nina. I think her striking is one thing that's... I won't lie, Randa's striking's come along as well. Like, in the past few fights, she has come a lot better. But Nina's striking is looking a lot better. And a big factor is, like you say, Amanda Nunes. You know, when you've got your partner as a champion, obviously Amanda gets a lot of focus in the gym then. You know, the coaches will definitely pay a bit extra time with her. And Nina's always going to be around her. So Nina's always going to be picking up information, picking up tips and hints. And then she obviously... So who's Amanda going to practice it with? A partner. And then it's just basically just she's got a copycat her, you know. Nina's not got the power Amanda has. She's not that fighter. But I tell you what, Nina is growing with confidence thanks to Amanda as well. I think we're going to see a lot better strike in this fight. I think Nina leg kicks will be a factor for her too, to slow Ronda down. And I think I definitely see a decision win, Nina. But I think it's going to be a 30-27. I think she's definitely going to get a substantial win. Definitely pepper Ronda, and I think she'll just footwork will keep her out of range, and I think she'll get this win.
Moving on, this is a fight I am really looking forward to. I think this is a great fight.
Fantastic matchup.
Yeah, I love it. I'm just a big fan of the flyweight division, honestly. I think it's just a great division with a lot of really solid fighters. But with Dustin Ortiz against Matheus Nicolau, lead us off.
All right, Nicolau and Ortiz, mate, is a fight I'm pumped about, like you say. And Nicolau is a fighter who, impressive guy. He's got some good skill sets, but I'm telling you now, he's fighting a guy in Ortiz who, he's just... I think Ortiz is going to get a little bit of a run on him again. I think Ortiz just fought the better strikers. Competition. Like looking at Nicolau, he lit up Lewis Smoker, but then Smoker, he's been cut since then. Nicolau's got that boxing background as well. I believe he's, I think was it amateur or pro boxing did? I forget now. Apologies for that. But he has got good striking. He's got, for that weight class, he has got good hands. But Ortiz ain't going to be messing around with that. Ortiz is going to take you down. And I think Ortiz has got that skill set to do that. I think Ortiz has got horrible conditioning of 3 rounds of hell. Like, he is... Like, the first round, I find Ortiz always takes it takes a bit of time to get into it. But when he beat Panchota, like, mate, that just was like, wow. He got out the first round with his back taken for a while, and he showed a really good defense on the ground submission. Then after that, it just was all him. And I think we might see it again. I think, obviously, at the start, the pair of them are going to be fast. They're both going to be, 100%. But I think after that first round, I think Ortiz can keep a higher pace and a higher work rate. And one thing he can do is he can get Nicolau down. He could definitely close that gap, close that distance, get him down. Nicolau needs to keep Ortiz on the end of his punches all day long, but I just don't think he can do it. I think Ortiz will just kind of overwhelm the kind of flurry of punches to get the takedown in, to initiate it, even get him against the cage and just work him down. But I see it being a decision win for Ortiz. He's just going to... just get that upper hand. It might be a 29-28, but I think Ortiz will get 2 or 3 rounds and get that decision win.
I am completely on Matheus Nicolau here. I think this is going to be... I thought his last fight, Nicolau against Smoker, was a really good fight. I think this is going to be the coming out fight of Matheus Nicolau. I've been a big fan since I've seen this guy in the UFC, and still not many people really know about him outside probably the hardcores, because he is a quiet, unassuming guy from Brazil, and he's been around for like 3 years, and he's only fought like once a year since then, like per year since then. He's won his fights. He won his first via sub. He's won his next fight via, I think it was a close split decision against Moraga, which I thought he ultimately won. It was a close fight. And then I thought his last fight against Smoker was the step up that he needed. Like I say, I think Smoker's kind of dusted off a little bit, and he's so up and down, Smoker. Sometimes he can be really good and sometimes he can be really bad, but he's someone that you can always take down. He outstruck him, he took him down, he passed positions against someone who is dangerous on the ground against Smoker. But you can never count out someone like a Dustin Ortiz, because the guy is go, 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 never stops, and if he gets the advantage where he can establish his dominance on you, he's a really hard fighter to deal with. He's a guy that I've always kind of admired. He used to be at Rufus Sport for the longest time, and he had good things about him there, and he's got some legit wins on his record as well. I mean, Zach Makovsky, Pantoja, who he beat last time out, I think is a legit guy. I like Pantoja a lot. But there is opportunities to finish this guy as well. Brandon Moreno caught him with a head kick, then submitted him. But I think Ortiz's game plan here is going to want to be to grapple with him. I think if he can establish, then he could win the fight. I just don't think he's going to take a guy like Nicolau down as easy as some of the other guys. I think Nicolau's got jiu-jitsu on top of that. I think when it comes to the striking, I think the more polished striker is Nicolau. More variety with his strikes, better footwork, more hand speed. But someone like Ortiz, who's go, go, go and never stops, the hard guy to face. So I think there's another step up in his career. I just think Nicolau's the more... I think he's the better fighter here. I just think he's on the rise, but this is the step up that he needs against someone like Ortiz, who's going to show him a lot. And ultimately, I've got Nicolau. I'm going to pick him via submission. I think he's going to catch him in like a guillotine. I think that Ortiz is going to come in for something, and Nicolau is going to catch him and submit him in that one there. So Nicolau for the win for me. Women's flyweight division: Alexis Davis against Katlyn Chookagian. And I'm a little bit kind of back and forth with this one. Davis is a fighter that I think when she's on, she's actually really, really good. Sometimes I'm not sure. I find her hard to read personally as a fighter because I think she's so up and down that I just find her a little bit hard to read personally. I think she's a solid pro. She has been for the longest time. Yeah. Some good wins on her record, and she's won 2 fights in a row. Even though the Cindy Dandois fight was pretty balls, the Carmouche one, was close. Carmouche is a girl who's kind of on the rise now, and she's won a couple of fights in a row. So, and she's did that after coming back after having a kid as well. So, fair play to her. Chookagian's one of those spoiler fighters, kind of spams leg kicks, shouts, and then runs away. It's one of those fights. I hate the fighters that kind of scream and do all that, and she does that with everything.
Like female tennis.
Yeah, I just can't stand it. But she's effective, and she looks good in the judges' eyes. She's one of those fighters that, as a guy who likes betting on fights, I look at fighters like that because they can steal rounds, and they don't even have to do much either. I'm going to go Chookagian. I think that she's going to do that. I think Davis can't establish with her striking early on. I think that Chookagian could just have a little bit more output. Eventually, I think Davis will start to shoot and look for takedowns because Chookagian has got bigger, longer legs. She can maybe try and get in those. And I find that's a close fight for me. I'm going to go Chookagian, not confident whatsoever, though.
Yeah, it's a horrible matchup to pick. And it's that flyweight, so like I like it, the flyweight fight for the girls, not having to be that 135. I like seeing them at this weight class, but is experience going to overcome Katlyn? Because she does, like you say, she'll throw like 3 or 4 combinations. Don't get me wrong, they look good, but if you look, they don't really land. But she shouts and she's aggressive, and a judge watches it and he goes, "Wow!" And trust me, no, I'm not saying all judges, but some judges are fantastic, right? Ben Cartledge, one of the best judges out there, bar none, MMA judges. End off, and he's got a channel called One Credit Classic. Love it on YouTube. But yeah, honestly, she's almost like a Holly Holm, but less effective. It's a good way to put it. Throws a lot of punches, kicks, like you say, does the shout, and I think that Alexis Davis might be tentative to come in when she's throwing them. So I worry that Katlyn's going to get a decision because she's going to keep Alexis Davis away, so she's going to keep her on the outside with these combinations. She's going to put her off wanting to engage because she won't want to get hit. All Alexis Davis needs to do is just suck it up, bite down, and close that gap. As soon as she closes that gap down, a lot of Katlyn's advantages are out the window, and I think Alexis can then take advantage of her to get her against the cage, maybe get her to try and get down to the ground, or just grind her out a bit, keep it a bit dirty to boxing, just make it ugly. And that's the best way to beat Katlyn in this style of fight. You're not going to beat Katlyn on the outside because of her style of fight. It's just really, really awkward and annoying. But I'm like you. I'm sadly going to go with Katlyn with an annoying, shouty scream decision win, 30-20. I'll go 30-27 probably. Not looking forward to it, but I think it's going to happen.
Yeah. And the main fight of the UFC Fight Pass prelims is John Makdessi facing off against Ross, the real deal Pearson. You go.
Well, this is a fight that I think both guys are not that far off from maybe not being around that long in the UFC, if I'm honest with you. Ross Pearson is somehow still in the UFC. And don't get me wrong, the guy is, he's fought in 3 weight classes in the UFC, 170, 155, and 145. He's been around a long time. But my problem, I've said it before when we talked about him, and I'll say it again, he hasn't bothered to evolve at all at any stage in his career. All he's done is just keep doing the same thing, and he's just a telegraph fighter. Anyone can beat him, anyone at any time in that division, because he's not going to do anything different. I think with John being at home, it will play a factor. Obviously Pearson's had to travel from Australia up to Canada, and apparently Australia to stateside, or so to speak, it's a horrible travel anyway. So I'm not saying it's going to play a huge factor, but it can play a factor in it. So I think John Makdessi, he's done stuff. I think he's trained with Duke Rufus, hasn't he? I think he's done stuff with him in the past as well. And he has. Yeah. He's still there. There you go. I think he's got a more variable style of striking than Ross has. Ross's striking is very limited in the skill set. I'm not saying he hasn't got more, but he doesn't use it in fights. He keeps it very simple, and I think John's got a bit more in his arsenal than Ross has, and I think John's going to get the win here. Does he stop him? He could stop Ross. I don't see any problem with him stopping Ross. Ross is not a guy that's got a chin that can go 3 rounds these days. But I'm going to go with John Makdessi. I'm going to give him this. I'm going to give him a stoppage. I'm going to say he's going to stop in the second round. Being in Canada, let's go for it. I'm going to go with John's second round stoppage, and I think Ross will probably hang up. I think he might hang up the gloves after this, or he might go to maybe just. I'd like to see Ross. I'd like to see Ross in Glory or something, doing a bit of Muay Thai, kickboxing, something like that. Because that's all he does. He doesn't bother. He's not interested in fighting, grappling. So just go and do that, Ross.
Yeah, I was looking at my phone here just to see what Ross Pearson's been up to, and I like the fact that he's been in San Diego, so he has been at Alliance.
Nice.
So he hasn't got all that big travel from Australia over to Canada. So it's only a couple of hours up to Canada from there. So that's interesting. He is at Alliance, so it's a camp that's looking great at the minute. But Ross Pearson hasn't looked great in a long time. He thought he looked okay against Hirota, but I don't think Hirota is overly that good either.
No.
Pearson, like I said, I'd like to see him win here, with the fact that he's a really cool guy, like a really nice, cool guy. He has been for the longest time. But he's been around the UFC for a long time. He's lost a lot of fights. Got some good wins on his record, without a shadow of a doubt. But I do think he's on the tail end of his career. And I think that if John Makdessi, what he's going to do, I think that Pearson wants to get in close and try and brawl with him. Makdessi's not that type of fighter. He's going to fight long, and eventually he's going to start picking Pearson apart from kind of distance. I've seen some people actually say to me they are super confident in Makdessi next week, and I'm like, no, I would never be super confident in a guy like John Makdessi. I love the fact he's at Rufus Sport. I know he had a lot of time at TriStar, and he was a little bit up and down with TriStar, but I love the fact that he's been at Rufus Sport, I think, for a full camp, if not longer. Maybe he actually did last time against Trujillo, if I remember right. I think that Makdessi's going to pick him apart from distance, and these rounds are going to be close, and then I'm going to edge it for the guy from Canada, if I'm being honest with you. But honestly, I would like to see Ross Pearson get the win here. I'm struggling to see it personally. I think it might be the last we maybe see of Ross Pearson, but I've been saying that for the last 2 years, so who knows, really. So moving on to the Fox Sports 1 card, the Fox card, and Big Fox I should say, in the light heavyweight division. This is another, we were kind of talking about the light heavyweight division earlier on, with Anthony Smith and Rakic winning. We've got Gadzhimurad Antigulov against Ion Cutelaba, and 2 guys that have looked good. Not that we've seen all too much of them in the UFC. I know Cutelaba, I think, is coming back after.
Got flagged, didn't he?
He did, yeah. He got flagged way back in, when was that? UFC 217.
It wasn't that. It doesn't feel like it was that long ago, does it?
Oh, it must have been long. No. He was expected. That was it. So it was longer. So it was June 2017, and he got banned for a year. And he's back now, and a guy who's like really aggressive, like super pumped up every time he fights. I think he's got some potential there, but I do think he's one of those guys that will win and lose fights. The 2 wins that he's got in his UFC career are against 2 guys that I don't even think they're in the UFC anymore. So, and his wins, his losses, I should say, are 2 guys who are still in the UFC and have won numerous UFC fights. Antigulov is a guy I still think is very, very quietly going to make his way up this division. Those Russian guys are always brutes. He's only had 2 fights in the UFC. He's won them by submission. He's got elite grappling. I think he's got good striking. I think that the fighters that he's fought, are not better than the ones that Cutelaba has fought. Really, I think they're pretty much the same kind of level. So this is a good fight, having 2 guys that have won a couple of fights in the UFC and they're trying to move one guy on. For me, I think I'm always going to go with Antigulov. I think the aggressiveness of Cutelaba is going to play right into Antigulov. He's going to take this down. I think that down there he will just kind of school Cutelaba a little bit. So I'm pretty confident that he does that, and he does it within the first 2 rounds. So I'm going to pick Antigulov for the win there.
I'm with you on this. I think Antigulov's, man, he's got some insanely thick thighs. That dude has got some power in those legs. And I think what will happen though is Cutelaba will get up once or twice in the first round because he'll have the energy. He'll have the power to muscle himself up. Not technically get up, but muscle himself up. But you can only do that a couple of times, especially in that weight class. And especially with that muscle that he had. I know they're higher weight class, so got more, but they're really thick set. And I think Antigulov can get him down almost any time he wants. Because Cutelaba is never going to be... You're never going to see Cutelaba just standing back and jabbing and just pick. It's just not the way he fights. He doesn't... It's not how his style. But, dude, I love the fact that these 2 dudes, I would like it if they weren't fighting each other and they could fight other guys and build up. Because I think these could be better additions, like, further up the rankings. But either way, we're not getting that. But I'm going with you. I'll probably say... Yeah, I think you can get it done within 1 or 2 rounds. Antigulov, probably like a sub. Probably get like a submission in or something like that, like a rear naked choke, like whatever. But yeah, I think he's got this all day long. I just don't see, unless he gets caught standing, like an uppercut from Cutelaba when he shoots in or something random like that. But I can't really see much else other than that.
Yeah. So featherweight division, a couple. I think it's both these guys are Canadian here, if I remember off the top of my head. Hakeem Dawodu against Austin Arnett.
Yeah, man, this is a heck of a this fight's interesting because Arnett is not a bad fighter at all. On the regional scene, he's done really well. He's got a good amount of bounce. I think he's got nearly 20. He's nearly pushing the 20 bouts under his belt. So he's got he's had a few good fights on him. He's an interesting fighter. He doesn't have what I like to see. This guy needs to be a dirty fighter in this fight. Okay, you can't give Hakeem space because Hakeem, you know yourself, the dude is fire. Like you give him, he's almost like it's almost like Mark Diakiese. It's the best way to put it. Like Mark Diakiese is only good if you give him space. If you close him down, he doesn't like it. You don't give him. If you give him time, he's going to land something. He'll look for it. He'll explode, and he'll do it. And I think that's the problem. I think Austin's going to give him the time. I don't see Austin being able to be that kind of style of fighter. I hope he does, because then we might get a bit more of a fight. But I'm only seeing the first round here. I think Hakeem can stop Austin in the first round. He is so quick and powerful. He's explosive in that first round. I think Hakeem's going to catch him, because I don't think Austin's going to be smart enough to get this fight where it needs to be, which is hands-on, up against the cage or on the ground, and just to nullify what is really Hakeem's strength, which is that power, that explosive power. Because I think Hakeem's got as well. He's actually got the good takedown as well. He's got takedowns on him, which could stop Austin to get him down as well. So I'm going to go Hakeem here. I'm going to first round. I think he's got the skill set to do it. I think he should be able to get it done.
Yeah, this to me, I think is fairly straightforward. I think that the more complete, better fighter is Hakeem Dawodu. Like I say, I think the hand speed's there. I think wherever the fight goes, I think he's got an advantage pretty much. I think that Arnett gets hit far too much. I think he's there to be hit non-stop, and that happened in the Corey Sandhagen fight where Sandhagen, I think, had like 60 more strikes on him in the 2 rounds and then finished him. I think he was the underdog in that fight as well, which was crazy to me. And even on the Dana White show against Brandon Davis, he got hit a lot in that fight. It was a great fight, but he got hit a lot. Hakeem, I'll be the first to say, I was really surprised when Danny Henry did what he did to him.
First round, like first minute, wasn't it?
And he hurt him with the hands as well, which surprised me because Hakeem is definitely I don't know what it is with Danny Henry. I cannot pick a fight right. I always pick against him, and he always wins. So I might continue to do that, and he keeps on winning personally. He knows that as well. We spoke about it a few times. He doesn't live that far from me. I ran into him in Liverpool. He just says to me, "Keep on picking against me," because I end up winning. I was like, "I'll keep on doing that then." So, but he has a really good talent. Is Hakeem Dawodu? He has got a lot of things that you like in a fighter. Maybe that loss is going to be the making of him actually, where he can't take these guys. Cause I think he was coming in there really confident. I think he's. I'd be surprised. I haven't looked on social media. I'd be surprised if he's still at SBG in Ireland. That was a kind of weird one to me when he went there. I'm going to pick Hakeem. I think he knocks him out. I think he knocks him out in the first 2 rounds. I think better talent, faster hands, bigger power, more athletic, and I just don't see where Arnett's really going to hurt him in this fight here. So, yeah. Moving on, lightweight division, we have Kajan Johnson against the kind of Russian buzzsaw and Islam Makhachev. Like I say, I'm not the biggest. I've never really been the biggest Kajan Johnson admirer, but the guy wins fights. He beat Stevie Ray. I thought him and Stevie was really close, so I really can't comment on who I thought won. But the guy's won 4 fights in the UFC, albeit again, like he's fighting Liping Zhang, Kotani, very low level. Martins, I thought was a step up. He did nothing in that fight, and he knocked him out. I actually think he was actually maybe losing that fight against Martins again.
Martins kept basically Kajan landed a certain combination and he did it again and finished him. Like Martins kept walking into it, and Kajan just went, "I'll just keep doing this," and land it, and he did. It was like an overhand left or something like that. Yeah, it was crazy watching it. Yeah,
and like I say, the Stevie fight, I think, will definitely leave like a sour taste in the mouth of Stevie Ray, because that's a fight he really should have won, and he kind of let that get away. Even the crowd were. Now I know he's in the British Isles and so on, but I just thought that he did more to win that fight against Kajan Johnson. He landed the more takedowns, but it was a close fight, kind of strike-wise and takedown-wise. But I'm going to be biased and say Stevie won it, but it is what it is. I think this is a bad matchup for him. I think Makhachev is still one of those guys that people don't ultimately know too much about. But with Russian guys, you don't really need to know too much about them because they're usually absolutely savages. And he's did that, and he's only lost to Martins, which he got knocked out. But since then, he's beat Chris Wade convincingly. 4 takedowns, I think he got in that one, I remember counting. Gleison Tebow, Nick Lentz. And he stopped Tebow fairly convincingly in the last fight. I like Makhachev. I just think he's all around a better fighter. I think the UFC know what they're doing. They don't want Kajan Johnson in the UFC. They want this guy out because not that he causes trouble, just because he speaks his mind, and the UFC don't like it. And he's got some different opinions of how the UFC should be run. And to be fair, you've got to agree with some of the things that he says and standing up for it. But the UFC don't want people like that around. That's why they got Leslie Smith out the door as soon as they could, and they're feeding him here to Makhachev, who they think is going to run through him. Johnson's tough, but I see Makhachev just being too good, and I think maybe a submission win. I think he could get him down and get a rear naked choke win. So I'm going to go Islam Makhachev for a submission win there.
Yeah, Kajan Johnson is not someone I enjoy watching fight. He is a poor man's wonder boy. He's got the footwork, but hasn't got any of the striking. He is very good at evading damage. I will give Kajan Johnson the credit. He is good at running back, all right? But other than that, I don't get too hyped for him. Makhachev, yeah, has got some fantastic grappling. Let's be honest. Like, if he wants to throw you around and ragdoll you, he can do it. That stoppage of Gleason T-Bout, I was like, man, Makhachev is starting to fight. Like, it's starting to click for Makhachev, you know, everything's starting to... And I really feel sorry for Kajan, because, damn, he's in for a horrible, horrible fight. Like, yeah, I am so high up on this fight. Like, it's an easy bet. Like, if I don't know what the odds are for it, but I have got Makhachev all day long. Like, it's not even close. Like, if Kajan makes it 3 rounds, it's because he ran for 3 rounds. Like, he must run like 20 miles in this fight to evade Makhachev. It's the only way I can see it. If he engages in the striking, he's going to get smoked. Engages in the grappling, he's going to get reversed. He's going to get stopped. And I'm going submission, Makhachev. I think might be second round though, because I just think he can, Kajan can get away from him in the first with being fresh, having that, and Makhachev will get that timing, take a bit of time at a time. But yeah, all day long. And nothing against Kajan speaking his mind. I think all fighters should have the balls to say what's on their mind, but they're all scared of losing their employment. Kudos, I understand it, but at the same time, well done for him speaking his mind, but he's not going to get this win tonight.
So moving on to the main fight of the prelims, and it's Jordan Mein against Alex Morono here.
I think Jordan Mein he's been given a more suitable fight to win in front of the home crowd with this one. Jordan Mein, he's starting to get himself, you know, he's only 27, 28, and I think he's had more fights than I think anyone. Like, he's had about 600 fights. It's insane. And he had a break. He took a break from MMA. Like, he almost, technically retired and then came back. I think Jordan Main's just a weight. I kind of rate Jordan Mein. I think if he has his head in the game, he's really good. He's like a Roy McDonald. You know, he's got good striking, good takedowns. He's got variable striking, so he's not a basic striker. He can mix his strikes up. I think that fight against Mek was a hard fight for him. Mek was on that nice high kind of riding that streak of the Palhares stoppage, so he was on and Means just been out for so long, his timings were all off. I think if you ran that back, you might see a different fight. But yeah, I think Means got this one. Alex Moreno's got not the best striking. He's got power in his hands. Let's not take that away from him. The dude can bang, but he's not the most technically clean striker. He's more of a grinder. I think you're going to see Jordan just pick Alex apart with his footwork, and he should stop Alex with his hands and his feet. He should get 3rd round stoppage. I'm going to go Jordan Mein here. I'm going to go with the young buck. Well, I say young buck, the veteran of the sport, so to speak.
I'm a little bit not sure about this one, because I had probably 2013, 2014. I had pretty high hopes for Jordan Mein. I thought he had a lot of potential. I thought he had parts of his game that he could definitely be a really solid welterweight fighter, and possibly even a ranked fighter. I think I thought at that point. But watching over the last few years, he's like, you got to remember, this guy was fighting at age 16, so he's been fighting for nearly half his life. He's not even. I think he's coming 29. And the guy's been fighting for nearly half of his life, which is crazy. So he's taken a lot of damage. I think his first ever fight was against Rory McDonald, which is crazy. Both guys were like young, really young bucks at the time. He beat Mike Pyle. That was 2014. Mike Pyle can be hit and put down. Then he lost to Mek. Then he lost to Alvarez. He lost to Bilal Muhammad. I think they're all, especially Bilal Muhammad, I think we've seen how you beat Emil Mek. You just take him down at will. Thiago Alves, he's old now. He's there to be got at. You've seen Curtis Millender show you how to put that guy away. Bilal Muhammad is legit. End of. And his last one was against Eric Silva, who actually won Friday night via submission as well, where he outstruck him, got takedowns and advanced position. I don't think it's going to be as easy as that against Alex Morono. I think Morono's one thing that I don't think he stands out in any area. I just think the guy's really tough. He's got a good chin, slugs away. Meehan should be the more technical, better guy, But I just think that Morono's going to be in his face and he's going to make this fight really close. And I feel more confident picking Alex Morono, if I'm being honest with you. I think he's going to be a healthy underdog. I think that I just think he's going to make this fight a dog fight. And like I say, Mian should be the more technical, better fighter, but I think that Morono will make it dirty, and I think he'll make it very close. And I'm going to pick him to win this one via a pretty close decision as well. So moving on to the main card, which is a really good 4-fight main card, and it starts off in the lightweight division with Alexander Hernandez facing the Canadian gangster, as he calls himself, Olivier Aubin-Mercier. And who called Alexander Hernandez coming out and doing that to Beneil Dariush last time? I looked into it, I thought he's good, but I didn't expect him to do that to Dariush. And then I sat back, especially this last couple of days on his fights, I thought Dariush was coming off a war of a last fight, and he got in there pretty quickly afterwards, so maybe he hadn't fully recovered. But yeah, Alexander Hernandez is a really, really solid guy. I don't agree with the fact that he's ranked, because he came in there on short notice. And I'm not the biggest fan of that, but he came in there and showed that he's legit, very fast, extremely aggressive. When you go back and watch his fights in the regionals, he's got submission wins, he's got knockout wins, and he's just a really dangerous fighter that you have to be very, very careful with here. With Olivier Aubin-Mercier, the thing I like with him is the fact that you've seen him in the UFC, you've seen him progress, and he's progressing every fight. Really heavy thudding leg kicks, great back control once he gets you there. And he's starting to put together a nice run of wins. Drew Dober, he doesn't really stand out as being a great fighter to me, but he's tough. Tony Martin, I think, is a tough fighter and is decent. Dunham is another tough fighter, and he knocked him out in the first round with knees and punches. That was the standout win and the statement win that we need to see with him to show you that he is going to be, or could be, a ranked fighter, and he's not far off being that. If he's not already, maybe number 15, I don't know. But for me, I think Alexander Hernandez is the guy I'm going to go with here to beat Olivier Aubin-Mercier. I'm still pretty high on Mercier. I think he's okay, but I think that Hernandez is still a guy that people are going to be shocked when they see how guy this good really is. And I just think that as long as he avoids not getting taken down and not being in a position where Mercier can, if he can ride on the back of Hernandez is going to be in deep, deep shit. But I struggle to see him getting it down there. So ultimately, I think this becomes a striking affair. And I think that Hernandez has the far faster hands, overall better game. I do love the kicks of Aubin-Mercier, and he's starting to throw more to the body, and he's starting to throw more up top as well, instead of just keeping it predominantly from inside and outside leg kicks. But I'm going to go Alexander Hernandez in a pretty close fought fight, and I'm going to pick him via decision.
See, I am curious to see how Hernandez does in the second and third round. Because speed, I'm with you. I think speed kills. I think speed is a big factor. Like Mercier, he's not the quickest lightweight. He kind of plods, but it works. It's really weird. Like I've kind of grown to it. Like at first I was a bit like meh, and he is getting, like you say, he has got a lot more developed. But Hernandez is explosive, powerful, quick. I suppose that's what Olivier is going to hope for, in the fact that instead of having to close the gap himself for the takedown, he's going to rely on Alexander to close the gap for him, and then to go for initiate that takedown. I think that's the key. Get him down on his back, grind him, tire him, get rid of that explosive power that he has quickly. Just make him work, tire those arms and legs out with grappling. Really work him. And then I think if Olivier can get that done early, I'd probably sway towards Olivier for the win, because I think he can get a decision. Like I think Hernandez, he is a shredded machine, and it's hard to do that, to be fueled for 3 rounds of that power. You can't. Like Conor McGregor is a great example. Conor looks like he's in great shape. The dude can't do that for more than 1 round of explosive power. So, you watch it like a video game, you see him have to recharge, then he does it and he has to recharge. And then I think you might get the same thing with Hernandez here. He might be a more suitable 165er, but he has obviously makes that cut down to 155 because UFC can't be bothered to pull their thumbs out and add these more weight classes. But I'm going to go with Hernandez because I think at the first round he has the speed to really affect Olivier, to put Olivier off. But not overly confident on either pick, to be honest with you on this one. I'm only picking Hernandez purely on the speed factor that he's got. And also, it's that question mark. I don't think there's enough for Olivier to really get his head around what's going to come. So I'm going to go Hernandez more because of the mystery side of things. And maybe that explosive speed will catch him off guard. But mate, it could literally, if Olivier gets him down early, it's out the window.
Yeah. Women's strawweight division, we have the former champion, probably the best women's strawweight that we've ever had, Joanna Jedrzejczyk against Tecia Torres, a very close fight. How do you see it going down?
Man, like Joanna, one thing that's bugged me is she won't let it go, she won't drop it. Suck it up, get over it. You're lost. You've lost before in the past. You've lost now. Just suck it up. It really irked me the way she was about the loss of the title and losing the Rose and just not getting over it. That you need to accept that you need to forget that and look forward. Like, Tecia's no joke. Tecia is a pain in the hoop. Like, her style is, it's going to be, Joanna will not land nowhere near the amount of strikes she normally would on fighters because Tecia's so mobile. She's not static. She's quick. She's in and out, and she's gone. A big factor for this might be the leg kicks. Joanna's going to have to make sure she can get those leg kicks in. I would hope that Joanna gets those calf kicks in on Tecia. You know, she's very, like, Tecia's skill, her main set is that spring in her footwork, that movement that Tecia has. If Joanna can't stop it, it might be a bit of a tough fight for Joanna because she won't be able to get. She's not going to take it down. Joanna's not going to grapple with her. That's not Joanna's style. So it's almost like Muay Thai Taekwondo. You know, I'm probably going to favour more Taekwondo because she'll get the kicks, the push kicks, land those, come in for a couple of shots and move out. And I think Joanna might just plod towards it and be a bit more open to it because she doesn't move enough. There's not enough footwork for me to put into to evade Tecia Torres. Ultimately, I'm going to go Joanna because I feel that she's got the striking prowess to get those leg kicks in, to know she has to get those leg kicks in. So I'm going to go Joanna with the decision because I think she'll be smart enough to know she has to get those leg kicks to slow Tecia down so by the second, third round, she can start to at least get a few more strikes in. But I'm not confident on this one. I think it's a horrible stylistic matchup. Tecia's trained with Rose, and I'm sure they've spoken. Honestly, I think it's a horrible matchup for Joanna to come back to. Do you want to switch your camera off, bro, and switch it back on again? Because it's gone again, bro. But yeah, really horribly tight decision, Joanna. But I'm not overly confident, mate, honestly.
Yeah, it's a close fight. I was surprised when it got put together so quick again after April. I was a little bit surprised that it got made so quick. Tecia's coming off a loss where she got thrown about by Jessica Andrade. It was really the physical mismatch.
Yeah,
I think it was like double figures that Jessica Andrade got, and that's really all it was in that one. And Andrade can do that pretty much to anybody if you don't have the right game plan, and that's what she did in that fight there. Joanna, I thought she gave a good performance against Rose, but Rose, when she definitely outstruck Rose, but Rose just landed the better shots, where Joanna's was just pitter-patter strikes that were just kind of adding up. And ultimately, Rose is just in her spot at the minute. She looks like she's just in the right spot and mentally, in her life at home. She just seems to be in a really good spot. I think it's a trap fight for Joanna and Jedrzejczyk. I think that Torres is very tough. She's hard to put away. She's just very good in a lot of areas. She's tiny. She's fast. She can throw a lot of strikes. She can wrestle if she can get her hands on you. I struggle to see her getting her hands on Joanna, so I don't see the takedown game really working for her. And then ultimately it becomes striker v striker. And when you look at it that way, I think the better striker is Joanna. I think she'll spam leg kicks. She will keep her at distance. I think when Torres tries to enter into the kind of danger zone, I think she's going to be too short and she's not going to land enough to really push Joanna back. So for me, I'm fairly confident that Joanna wins this fight. I just think it's a tough matchup, and you can't take Tecia Torres lightly because she's a good solid fighter. But when you look at both fighters, I think Joanna has more. I just think it's going to be a stand-up fight, and I'll take the better stand-up fighter, which is definitely Joanna. Not that Torres is bad. I just think that Joanna's going to fight smart, and she's going to do enough, and she's going to kind of hit and move and not get hit and win a decision pretty comfortably, actually. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Torres went in there and maybe squeaked a decision. But I think to me, I think the pick on this one has to be Joanna. Moving on, co-main event, interesting fight. Jose Aldo against Jeremy Stephens. This is a great. I'm a fan of. Well, I've never been the biggest Jose Aldo fan. I've been a big admirer of his talents because he does. He obviously, having a belt for that long and beating fighters that he has, you have to be a good fighter. You don't become a bad fighter overnight. Just because he's lost a couple of fights, and I do think that Conor McGregor took his soul in that fight. I think that without a shadow of a doubt, he took everything away from Jose Aldo, and he's not been able to even get close to recovering to being the fighter he is. And of course, he had back-to-back losses to Max Holloway, who literally made adjustments and just beat him up eventually, and he really did beat him up. It's whether or not Jose Aldo is mentally still wanting to fight. It surprises me that he's still fighting at featherweight. It makes no sense to me why he's sticking around. He's lost to Holloway. He's the third guy in that division. I don't see him getting a title shot winning this. I don't see him fighting Brian Ortega after this. And he's killing himself that he's always struggled to. It's been a big weight cut to make 145. That being said, he's still got a really elite skill set with elite speed. And people are just writing him off too easily in this fight. And I can see why. Jeremy Stephens is absolutely ploughing through dudes. And like he's hurting motherfuckers right now. Like that finish of Jeremy, what's his name? Josh Emmett, was legit like nasty. And the injuries that Josh Emmett suffered in that fight is like big, huge injuries. Doho Choi caught him with some massive shots. Gilbert Melendez, he absolutely brutalised the legs off him. So right now, Jeremy Stephens is in his spot. He's in his element. He was asking for Brian Ortega a couple of weeks back on like 3 days' notice. He was ready to jump on a plane and get to Vegas. This shows you how crazy this bastard is. Just a really crazy fighter. Heavy power. Very confident now. And that's something that you cannot take lightly. For me, I still think there's something left in Jose Aldo. I struggle to see him completely. When we seen him lose fights, he came back against Frankie Edgar, and I thought he'd give a great performance at UFC 200. Showed he's still that guy. So I wonder if that's the kind of mindset he's got. He still wants to show that he is the main man down at 145. I don't think he ever wins the belt again. It's just weird that he's sticking around down there. It's the one bugbear I have in this fight. But I think you've got the more faster technical striker against the brawler. I think that Aldo, especially over 3 rounds, if this was 5 rounds, I think that Jeremy Stephens could have his way late on in the fight against Jose Aldo once he starts to disperse a little bit. But for me, over 3 rounds and the way Jose Aldo fights, I think he's still a tough out against anybody. And if you don't catch him, you're going to struggle to put it on him, because he's going to fight long, he's going to fight fast, he's going to be hitting you 2 or 3 times before you hit him back. I'm going to go Jose Aldo via decision. Personally, for the state of the division, I think that it'd be better if Jeremy Stephens did. But I still think that Jose Aldo is one of the most elite fighters we've got in the UFC. And just because he's lost to one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the sport his last couple of times, you shouldn't be throwing him out and saying he's done, he's not good anymore. He's still got that talent. He's still going to be that guy until you physically see him being a shell of a fighter. I don't think he's at that point yet, in my opinion, but I'm going to pick Jose Aldo via decision.
Well, that's a bit. Max Holloway went on an insanely long win streak, still going. Like, no one else is doing what Max is doing, so let's all like chill out about Jose Aldo. I agree 100%. He should be just. Well, he is fighting his contract out. Remember, he said that a little while back. He said he's going to fight his contract out. I think after this, there's only maybe 1 or 2 left, and I think I'm with you though. You're not getting a title shot again. They won't bother giving it to you again because you want to go because he wants to go to pro boxing. So I don't know why. Maybe he sees money. I don't know. But he might get more suitable matchups in Brazil. They might give him pro boxing bouts in Brazil and give him more favourable fights. You know, build him up a bit, give him a few cash. Who knows? And by the by, I think that Jose Aldo is still one of the best. End of. He is phenomenal. Jeremy Stephens, like I say, he's starting to throw those calf kicks in, but Jose Aldo ain't going to be having none of that. You telling me that suddenly Jeremy Stephens is a better leg kicker than Jose? That's a bad game to play. Jose Aldo of late has been really reducing his leg kicks down. That was his bread and butter, was the left body hook, right leg kick. It just wrecked guys. And I swear, if Jeremy Stephens starts to try and calf kick and leg kick Jose Aldo, I hope he does, because it'll trigger Aldo to bring back his old school ways of just ripping your legs up. And I think Jeremy Stephens will stop that straight away and just go back to brawling with his hands. But like you said, bro, he brawls, but Jose Aldo will brawl back for 3 rounds. It's only 3 rounds. Jose's going to be so happy. He's got good footwork, good hands. Jeremy Stephens ain't going to take Jose down. You just don't take Jose. Like, Jose is so hard to take down. It's not even worth the effort to try and take him down. Just suck it up and battle with him and stand up. I'm going Jose Aldo. I think Jose Aldo decision. I just can't write this guy off. He didn't get knocked clean out by Max Holloway. Let's remember that as well. It was an accumulation of a lot of punches. So his chin's not gone. He's got his chin still. It was more he was exhausted and then overwhelmed by punches. So he didn't see Jose Aldo get sparked out. Like it's only happened really effectively once, but he's obviously still, it's not affected him going forward. I don't think Jeremy Stephens has got. Jeremy Stephens ideally wanted this to be a 5-rounder. You know, if this was 5 rounds, I'm with you. Money in the bank for Jeremy Stephens. He would have just sucked it up for the first 2-3 rounds and then just mauled Jose, and I would have seen it happen. But I'm going Aldo, mate. Decision. I think he's got it in the bag. I think he's just got great counter striking. He showed it against Aldo. Like, oh my gosh, that performance was fantastic. And I think you do it here with Stephens.
It's a good fight. It's a really great main event. It was supposed to be, I think, the main event, the Singapore card, and then they moved it. I think, like I say, if I was Stephens, I would be campaigning for 5 rounds over that one there. So we're moving on to our main event here. It's a rematch, that fight that took place at UFC 211 with Eddie Alvarez facing off against Dustin the Diamond Poirier. Go ahead.
Just basically seeing the same thing as I did in the last one. I truly think that Dustin knows he's got his number. I think Dustin knows he's got Eddie's number. I think he's going to be a bit more patient this time around, because he did go when he smelled blood, and that's what lost him. Like, I say lost in the fight, but that's what caused all that to happen. If he was a bit more patient and just picked bit more patient picking the shots, he would have just put Alvarez away. I feel like Alvarez needs to go back a bit rather to go forward. He needs to resort to his wrestling. Alvarez has got fantastic grappling wrestling. Like, he's really good at that, and he needs to do this in his Poirier fight. If he wants to stand and bang with Poirier, he's going to come off worst. Poirier is not Justin Gaethje. Like, I know Alvarez will be like, look, I stood toe to toe with Gaethje and went great. Yeah, but I'm telling you, Dustin Poirier will absolutely rip Justin Gaethje apart. Like, it's not. They're 2 different strikers. They're 2 different kind of guys. So I worry, because like, you think that was a hell of a scrap that Alvarez had with Dustin Gaethje. So that's a lot on his body taken out of him. I can't look past what Poirier is doing at the moment. I think he's looking so good. I've got to go Dustin Poirier to stop Eddie Alvarez in the first 2 rounds. I think he's got that left hand. Woof! It is fire right now, and I think he's just gonna. I think he's gonna land it, rock Eddie, and then hopefully he's smart enough to know just take your time and pick him off. And I'm gonna go Dustin, mate. I'm big high on Dustin at the moment. I always have been. I've always been a fan of Dustin, but he's really starting to come together now.
Yeah, I was so pissed off with how this fight ended at UFC 211 because it was taken off in that fight, and like you said, I thought that the long left that Poirier threw in that fight really started to get to Eddie Alvarez, and then eventually caught him, and then Dustin Poirier, being Dustin Poirier, just let it all hang out, started throwing recklessly, and then ultimately got caught himself. But that's just a typical Dustin Poirier fight. Dustin Poirier, in my opinion, is going to go into the UFC Hall of Fame with the people that he's beat, the people that he's going to beat, the fights that he's had. You look at his last 3 fights: Alvarez, banger; Pettis, banger. There was blood everywhere. Justin Gaethje, banger. What an unbelievable fight that was. He was like, he could barely stand and still managed to find that shot in the 4th round and put him down. He's a guy that I love betting on. I have done. He's a guy that I just love watching this guy. I've been the biggest fan way back since the WEC days. He had that, I think it was a documentary. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Fightville, I think it might have been. And since then, I was a massive fan. And I think he catches Eddie, but I think he needs to be really, really careful. The thing I'm really bad at sometimes is with Eddie Alvarez. I thought Justin Gaethje would better him. But fucking Eddie Alvarez, if you don't put him down, he's still there.
Yeah.
And it takes us one shot for him to change the fight. And now he's another guy. If he hits you, he starts swinging like wildfire, like he did against Dos Anjos. Like there's uppercuts flying, there's flying left hooks, right hooks, you name it. He just throws fucking everything. He doesn't stop. Like you said, I don't think he'll. I think the one worry I had about this fight when I first heard it got made was the fact that Dustin had just come off the Gaethje fight and took a lot of damage to his legs. Eddie Alvarez has never been known as a big, high-volume leg kicker, but he will be a guy that maybe goes for takedowns. I think Dustin Poirier is going to frame off and just unload and hit him with strike. I really struggle to see Eddie Alvarez beating Dustin Poirier here, but I also thought that against when he fought Justin Gaethje, I thought Gaethje would have his way with him, and then ultimately he stopped Gaethje. So it's a guy that you shouldn't completely write off. For me, the spots that they're in right now, Dustin Poirier is the man. I think he's next in line. If he wins this, he knows if he wins this fight, decisively, depending on what's going on, they're going to make Conor and Khabib. It's going to happen. I think I think we'll hear about this being like Conor versus Khabib's going to get announced, I think, within the next week, because this whole Conor thing comes to a head with the judges, and that there's talk already online that nothing's really going to happen regarding it. It's going to be literally a slap on the wrist, and this fight's going to be made in Vegas for UFC 220, whatever it is, 229, I think it is. So that fight's going to happen. He moves himself up to maybe number 1 contender with Kevin Lee. They two can maybe have a fight later on in the year, which would be unbelievable. I think it'd be a great fight again. For me, I think Dustin Poirier is the guy to pick here. Regarding, we're going to go into the bets after it. The only bet I have for this card is Dustin Poirier, and I made that weeks ago. I put money on him at minus 125. I don't know where it's. I think it's minus 150 now. So I got good value in that bet. You just have to watch the first fight to see where he can beat Eddie Alvarez. But just be careful. Don't get caught. I know he loves to brawl. It's just Dustin Poirier is honestly an absolute pleasure to watch fight. I was watching his fights last night, and it's just brilliant. He breaks guys as well. He breaks their wills. With Pettis, he broke him. Realised when Pettis was trying to buck out from underneath, I don't know whether he hurt his ribs or
like popped the rib or something. Didn't he mess his rib up? Yeah.
He breaks guys. He did it with Alvarez. He broke him as well. Like I say, the big thing that I think he's always open to is leg kicks. Eddie doesn't really throw good leg kicks. He never really has. So for me, Dustin Poirier, I think, is going to finish it in the first 3 rounds. I think he just needs to catch him with a shot and put him down and get himself right in there for a title shot. I think a much deserved one. And literally, I'm just looking at his record here. The people that he's beat, like
obscene.
Pettis, Jim Miller's never a tough fight. Bobby Green's a tough fight. Joseph Duffy's still a tough fight. Medeiros is a tough fight. Diego Ferreira, and that's not even counting the people that he fought at flipping featherweight. Obviously, he fought McGregor, Swanson, Coke, the Korean Zombie. So the guy Max Holloway, he's fought them all and he's beat some of them as well. Dustin Poirier is going to be my pick here. I'm fairly confident that he gets it done. I hope he gets it done and gets himself into talk of a title shot. So that's our picks for UFC Calgary. Like I say, I've already told you what my bet's going to be. It's going to be Dustin Poirier. I'm probably going to be adding a couple more. I'm fairly high on Matheus Nicolau. If they're decent there, I'm probably going to go there. I think Jose Aldo's got a possibility of being a bet. Antigulov.
Makhachev?
I think he's going to be a heavy favourite. I really do. I think he's going to... Right. I've got a funny feeling he'll be like plus minus 400, minus 500. So I'm going to stay well clear of that. I think he'll be a heavy favourite. I really do. But that's probably what I'm looking at for bets. We haven't got any questions because we literally did this on the fly after the Shogun card, or the Hamburg card. But we'll be back next week for UFC 227. The couple of rematches and the couple of main fights there with TJ against Cody. Great fight. DJ against Cejudo, which I think has the possibility to be a good fight, but we know how the first fight went, so who knows. But I think Cejudo is maybe moving himself up. He maybe knows what to do and what to avoid this time. Pretty solid card. Brett Jones is on there. Ramos against Kyung Ho Khan's on there. Great fight. And there's a couple other ones. Moicano, a big fan of that guy. So that's going to be our picks next week for 227. Like, comment, subscribe, leave your picks. Follow us on Instagram. Go into iTunes, give us a rating and get us up there. If you give us a rating, it means that more people will see the ratings and they can instantly go on and just subscribe and so on and so on. So go and hit that like button, subscribe button, whatever you want to do. Johnny, anything you need to say before we hit the road and head to bed?
That'll do, mate. You said all there. I didn't know about that ratings thing of iTunes. I didn't have a clue. I don't have iTunes, so I don't know.
Yeah, I have it, but it's like I know. Been listening from other podcasts on DraftKings things. If you hit I think it's a 5-star thing. If you hit 5 stars, the people can see and they can read ratings and reviews and so on and so on. It might be something maybe towards next year we might do a couple of competitions. If you leave a certain review or give us a we might just I might go out of my way to get some stuff, some prize and that, send you some goodies and that. So, but it's just we're still new to iTunes, so it's what it is. SoundCloud's another thing as well. So just go out there, spam us, subscribe, and like I say, we're going to be back next week for UFC 227 before we've got a 3-week break, which kind of sucks ass, but we've had a long run of cards, so a little break's quite nice, and then we'll be refreshed to head into the autumn, into the winter, to finish 2018 off with a bang. So from John, myself, thank you very much for sticking with us. All the best. Enjoy the card next week when it comes around, and we'll see you very soon.
Boom. Peace.